Hello guys, welcome back to the Sovereignty Masterclass. In this module, we'll be going over Data Protection Act 2018, specifically here in the UK. If you're elsewhere in the world, I recommend looking up under Parliament the statutes or acts in relation to this. They'll all be quite similar in terms of sharing your data and going through the process of withdrawing your consent and to have the erasure and restriction of processing of all your personal data, which will go through the letter I sent out, so you guys have a template and example of which that you can follow. But first, I just want to go through what it is actually saying in these acts in terms of what is going on with our data sharing and where they again provide remedy for us to rectify, written in their statutes. So you'll have this PDF again on Dropbox link, as well as the letter template that I sent, and we shall work our way through it. Okay, so Data Protection Act 2018. I've highlighted obviously all the key points here, in particular the points where it actually does express that it is all based on our consent, because by now we should all be familiar with the fact that nothing can be done without our consent, and this whole system is set up or engineered to derive consent from us, whether it would be explicitly, but most of the time it is implicitly. So it's tacitly agreed upon that we consent to things because we remain silent. And so by default, they see silence as acquiescence under the doctrines of acquiescence, and that in their eyes is otherwise consent for them to carry on doing the things they're doing, unless we the people write the letters in and explicitly state that we do not wish to consent. We wish to withdraw that consent of any contract or any agreement that may have been made up by default, so we can stand protected and live our lives in the private, like every private person should, having full privacy, and that being safeguarded by the governments. So what is it saying then? Saying requiring personal data to be processed lawfully and fairly. This is under the Act. This is what they're regulated to do on the basis of the data subject's consent or another specified basis. So there we go. Data subject's consent, just re-emphasizing the importance that everything is done by our consent. Terms relating to the processing of personal data. This section defines some terms used in this Act. Personal data means any information relating to an identified or identifiable living individual. Identifiable living individual means a living individual who can be identified directly or indirectly, i.e. a name, an identification number, location data, or an online identifier. One or more factors specific to the physical, physiological, genetic, mental, economic, cultural, or social identity. The reason why I highlighted all this is because we're kind of seeing what they are using to gather data from, what kind of categories, and so then we can use this in our letters to make sure that that is either erased or restricted when we send these things in. So obviously you can see here there's a load of data that is collected. If you can think of everything that we otherwise register with the governments, all the documents we've had, everything that is now online on the digital platform, bank details, credit report history, website addresses, you name it. There's a lot of stuff that goes on, and probably even more so in terms of the secret intelligence operation stuff with these phones, being able to listen into conversations, your phone calls as well, and even just having your phone on you, like I said, in the same room. Even when it's switched off, there's apparently evidence that they can still eavesdrop and listen in. But most of the time, it's kind of like, it doesn't even matter, because most people haven't really got much to hide. But still, it's the fact that privacy is very important to us. So we want to make sure that we put up these safeguards and let them know, so they can put up the safeguards to defend our privacy.